Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in. Today we have a motherboard review of the Gigabyte Aorus B450 M motherboard. It's a micro ATX board for the AMD AM4 socket. It is Ryzen 2000 ready. It can be 3000 ready with a simple BIOS update. Let's start with what's in the box. We have SATA cables, hook up your hard drives. Rear I/O shield, nothing too special here. It has a little Aorus symbol on it, but it will do the job. Installation disk. If you don't want to go online and just download your drivers, there you go. It will also include some of the software for the apps that they have that comes with the motherboard. You have your M.2, spoiler alert, standoffs and hardware installation, your owner's manual, and a cute little sticker that they give you so you can put it at the bottom of the toilet and have something to aim at. For the motherboard itself, this is what you're looking at. Right here again, micro ATX, AMD AM4 socket. It's actually a pretty nice board for what it is. For being a micro ATX, it comes with a lot of features, which is, nice to see for something that you can utilize. If you're going to use a lot of different things on your, PC, if you're just going for a smaller case build and you want to have a lot of functionality, this is actually a really good board to go with. Starting with your basic things, you do have your front I/O, your front control panel connections right here. I do have mixed feelings about these. I do have the Aorus Gaming 5 Wi-Fi X470 board, which does have a slightly upgraded version of this. It's actually got a socket here, and inside your box it comes with a little connector that you can put all your front panel connections into, and then you just clip it right in place, which I think is super convenient, especially if they ever pull your motherboard out for some ungodly reason. You have your USB 3.0 ports, 2.0s, RGB fan headers, all your basic stuff right there ready to go, which is kind of nice. Along the side here, you're going to see you do have two sets of two side-facing SATA cable connections, so you have 4 total there. And you have 2 more right here, which are vertical. I don't know why they didn't just put them on one, but I'm sure they have a reason for that. Your 24-pin connectors right here. You do have 4 DIMM slots, which is great because this is also dual channel. So again, for a smaller board that doesn't have just 2, it's actually 4 slots, so you can buy a small amount of memory and then upgrade later when you can afford to do so. And it is dual channel memory, so you get that extra bandwidth there. You have 3 PCIe slots, 16, a 1, and a 4 times. You have your M.2 NVMe slot right here. You obviously can plug an SSD M.2 in here if you'd like. It does come with their little thermal guard heatsink, which I have not tested myself yet, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. And once you see, I'm using this board actually for a build coming up, and I will give you a full kind of review in detail as to all the little facets and features of the board and everything else that's going into it, and what I see that does help and work. You have 3 fan headers on here, right here, and then you actually have your CPU fan header, which is actually colored gray. So if you are confused as to which one to plug your CPU fan into, they do a nice little favor for you and color code it so you don't make a little whoopsie, which it would still function if you plug it somewhere else, but that's just a nice little smart feature it gives you there as an option. Things with the board itself, it does have a hybrid PWM MOSFET design, which is great if you do want to overclock. Another benefit with this board, if you do decide to overclock, is it actually has, again, I will put close-ups on this, 2 BIOS chips on it. It has a main and then a backup. So if you do throw some really wonky settings into your BIOS and make a whoopsie and you think you just bricked your system, you might actually be okay. The other nice thing with those dual BIOS is if you get a virus, have a hardware failure, or even if you're just updating this, because like I said, if you buy this and you're planning on taking this board to save a few bucks and going to Ryzen 3000 and you're updating your BIOS, which remember, if you are going to go to 3000, you do need to have a CPU in here prior to the upgrade, so you can actually update your BIOS. But if you update your BIOS and for say, the power goes out, that extra backup BIOS can save your ass. So nice plus here. You also have a standard Cmos battery, which you can yank out if you drop the board and cause bigger problems. That being stated, you can jump over here. You do also have your 8-pin power connector here, and with their power connectors, they do a nice little feature as well as their solid pin power connectors. And with that, it just comes down to longevity. Is the pin's going to last a little bit longer, so we'll take a little bit more heat, a little bit more power can flow through it, instead of having a hollow one or the little, ones that kind of clamp together. Just better quality overall. So for the board, you're getting some really nice stuff on here as well. You're getting the Realtek audio, which is good for the board. You can always step up and get something a little bit better if you want to do a standalone card, or whatever it may be, some an amp or however you want to go about it. These boards do come with the AMD Store MI, which is a software program that allows your SSD and your HDD, if you're using those together, to kind of function as one. It will take your SSD and then your HDD and allow your HD to transfer your most commonly used files to your SSD and allow it to run things faster. So you game, it's going to take your most important files out of your game folder and put those on the SSD, and allow you to save room on a smaller SSD and still have all that massive hard drive space. So you get the best of both worlds there with a budget. So you don't have to go out and buy, expensive 1 terabyte M.2 card or a whole bunch of SSDs, which are coming down in price, but they still are more expensive than an HDD drive. That being said, we'll jump over here to the rear panel. Before we get too deep into this, though, I will just state too, the fan pin headers on this are a nice little facet too when it comes to this. They are a hybrid fan pin header, and they will auto detect what type of components plugged into that. So if you're using a voltage fan or a PWM fan, it's going to know the difference and operate it accordingly. Also, if you're plugging a pump into it, it's going to know that. Yeah, or if it's just a regular fan, it's going to tell. It's going to know. So just be aware of that. It does allow you to use a Smart Fan 5, which is their system with fan stop. It's another thing going along with those fan headers. If you want to use the Smart Fan 5 allows you to tell your computer where the fans are located and allow you to tweak those individually so you can better cool your system, which again I think is a great feature for a micro ATX board, because your cases typically are more restrictive and have less options for cooling. You can't always squeeze a radiator in there, and you're going to have the flexibility to tweak it and adjust it and keep your stuff running cool and lasting longer. And now going back to your rear IO, you're going to have your PS2 slots for your old style mouse and keyboard connections, if you're still using that. 2.0 USB little slots, nothing crazy there. DVI, HDMI. Going here, you actually get a nice 4 Gen 1 3.1 USB inputs there. And nice thing right here is you do get your Ethernet LAN, which is great. That's, again, it's a Realtek. It's the 8118 LAN connection. And you have 2 native Gen 2 USB 3.1 inputs, which is a great feature there. Super fast. It's gonna be twice as fast as these guys right here. These are, I believe, 10 gigabytes per second bandwidth, and this is gonna be 5 gigabytes per second bandwidth. So if your front panel controller doesn't give you a good, you do have, again, 3.0 right here, but a little bit more right there. And again, your standard rear audio connections that you're gonna be able to utilize. So that's your main board right there. Again, pretty great. It does have diagnostic LEDs on here to tell you when there is a malfunction. When you first start it, the first time it's going to cycle through. Those are located right down here in the corner above your front panel connection. Now, I personally find these useful. I would rather have a error code readout, but again, this is, it's a micro ATX board, not an eATX or just a full-size ATX. I had a memory issue at one point in time, and this actually helped me just kind of isolate it down really quickly. So I didn't have to sit there and diagnose it from, a get-go. I get a blue screen of death, and I'm just like, what's going on here? And that helped me get it taken care of in a short order. Well, guys, I think that's it for this board today. Again, I do appreciate you tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more reviews. And again, I'm going to do some tutorials with this one, and I'm going to do a full build, which will have this fully reviewed and let you know what problems I see with it and what pros I see with it as well. Thank you.